What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA
playoffs, Thursday, July 1st.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, we have an NBA showdown between the Atlanta Hawks and the Milwaukee Bucks. So let's take a look at the point guard position. Trae Young is a game time decision. Even if he plays, I'm going to stay away from him with that ankle injury. So I like Drew Holiday from the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Atlanta Hawks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Drew Holiday has averaged 36.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He scored 35, 40, and 38 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 41, and 32 minutes. So with Giannis Antetokounmpo out, that's a big boost to the rest of these Milwaukee Bucks. Just like with Trae Young out, that's a big boost to the rest of the Atlanta Hawks. So Drew Holiday is projected at 40.8 fantasy points here tonight. You could probably bump that up to 45 fantasy points because he might get a little extra usage here. So I like Drew Holiday here versus the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. Now, if Trae Young is out, I like Lou Williams from the Atlanta Hawks playing the Milwaukee Bucks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Lou Williams has averaged 19.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 22 minutes per game with a 26% usage rate, but he scored 41 fantasy points in 35 minutes last game. So if Trae Young is out and he's going to get close to 35 minutes, I think that makes him a pretty good play here. He's projected at 28 fantasy points here tonight, but we know he's got that 40-plus fantasy point upside if he gets going. So he is a pretty awesome tournament play. So I like Lou Williams if Trae Young is out here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Bogdan Bogdanovic had an awesome game last game, scored 41 fantasy points in 33 minutes, but I think his FanDuel price is just a little bit too high here, so I'm going to pass on Bogdan Bogdanovic on FanDuel, and we'll take a look at DraftKings real quick at the end of this video and see how he looks with the difference in pricing.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. With Giannis out, you gotta like a guy like Chris Middleton from the Milwaukee Bucks, who averaged 36.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game, with a 25% usage rate. He scored 35, 58, and 36 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 36, 42, and 28 minutes. He's projected at 44 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Chris Middleton here versus the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, another small forward that I like is Kevin Huerter from the Atlanta Hawks. and he averaged 24.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He scored 36, 35, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 36, 36, and 30 minutes. Now, he's a hit or miss type of player, so he's either going to make or break your lineup. He's projected at 30 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Kevin Herter here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, if you're looking for a sleeper pick here, take a look at Danilo Gallinari. His salary is low. He's averaged 22 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 24 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He scored 10, 26, and 13 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 19, 35, and 15 minutes. So it just depends on how many minutes he's going to play and if the guy can hit his shot. So he's projected at 22.1 fantasy points here tonight. He's a high risk, high reward play, but his salary is low enough where I think he's worth taking a shot on if you want to get a player with low ownership, make your lineup different. He's got a good matchup. So I like Danilo Gallinari as a high risk, high reward tournament play here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. With Giannis out, I like John Collins from the Atlanta Hawks. He averaged 31.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He scored 20, 22, and 20 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 29, 23, and 24 minutes. Now, Giannis is out, and Clint Capella is questionable. So if Clint Capella misses this game, I think that makes John Collins a lock. I will definitely have him in all my lineups if Clint Capella is out. But I think even if Clint Capella plays, he makes a good play here tonight. He's projected at 33 fantasy points here tonight. So I like John Collins here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, moving on to the center position. With Giannis out, I like Brook Lopez from the Milwaukee Bucks, who averaged 24.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He scored 17, 20, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 24, and 23 minutes. He's projected at 27 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Brook Lopez here versus the Atlanta Hawks. Now, if Clint Capella does play this game, it was just an eye inflammation, so there's nothing physically wrong with him. He should still be able to play his full amount of minutes if he gets the go here tonight. So if he does play, I think he's an interesting play here. He's averaged 40 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He scored 27, 29, and 10 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 27, 27, and 24 minutes. If he does play, he's projected at 35 fantasy points here tonight. But with that eye inflammation, you may want to err on the side of caution and go with John Collins over Clint Capella. But Clint Capella is still a great play, so I like Clint Capella here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, so I said we would go over to DraftKings and take a look at some of the plays that may be good DraftKings plays because of the pricing over there. And it looks like Bogdan Bogdanovic is a pretty decent DraftKings play, projected at 31.5 fantasy points. So I don't mind playing him on DraftKings. Let's take a look at the shooting guard position. Nothing I see there. Now at the power forward position, Bobby Portis on DraftKings, he looks pretty good, projected at 25.2 fantasy points here tonight. So I think Bobby Portis makes an interesting DraftKings play. And that's about it. Those are the 2 guys that I would consider on DraftKings that I probably wouldn't be playing on FanDuel.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.